This video is for those of you who want to take better care of yourselves but don't know where to start. Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about self-care and how I like to take care of myself. So if you are tuning in today wanting to know a little bit more about self-care and how you can actually take better care of yourself, then this video is for you. So what I mean by self-care is not just holidays, not just massages, like these simple things. It's also about doing the inner work and the shadow work to actually uncover why it is you feel the way you feel. So to kind of break down shadow work, it's essentially the darker side or the traits that we tend to hide from ourselves and we tend to deny a little bit, and that has a lot to do with astrology, which I will delve into a little bit later on. But to kind of break it down simply, it's essentially the parts of ourselves that we shy away from, we avoid talking about, and actually doing the deep-rooted work to uncover, solve, and just kind of understand ourselves better. And I think that's why we can tend to get quite overwhelmed. Emotions can be high and we can feel this sense of tension just because we hide away and we kind of avoid the problem at hand, which sometimes actually is ourselves. We can be our own worst enemies. I really want to talk about different ways, different methods that you can uncover and extract this feeling and just kind of understand it a bit better. Now, to delve into the astrological side of things, there are lots of different ways that we can look at our shadow selves, be it from our moon, our rising, and our sun signs. It's a really great way. If you know the place of birth, the time of birth, and your birth date, then you can find out all this information online. I will link a birth chart calculator below. It's a really great way just to understand yourself a little bit better, because we aren't just our sun signs. There are different elements that make up who we are and how we react, how we communicate with others, how others perceive us when they first meet us. There is so much to uncover. So I will link lots of links below, kind of explaining that in more detail. If you guys want to know really specifically and in more greater depth, then let me know in the comments. I would love to do a video kind of breaking down astrology a little bit more and talk about how it can impact our relationship in business and also in our own personal success. So there's a lot to be said about astrology and where we come from, who we are, and how that impacts how we take self-care. Some of us, you know, will work really hard and not take any time to inwardly reflect, to look at ourselves, our actions, what it is we're doing. Some of us think that self-care is all about going out drinking and other activities which might actually be detrimental to your self-care. Obviously everything in moderation. You know, I love a great meal and a drink and a glass of wine, but it's all about moderation. It's all about knowing when to stop and also understanding that sometimes if a behavior is quite repetitive, it can be a sign that we're kind of just like hiding our inner emotions and kind of covering up and concealing it with something else. So if you are looking to understand that a little bit more, then self-care starts with the inner work and talking about things, thinking about things that might be a bit uncomfortable. I think when you look inwardly, it can feel a bit cringy, and a lot of people say that when they actually take the time to do these really super personal things, it can feel awkward. I love to journal and write in a diary, but I know when I've discussed with, you know, people around me, some people are a bit confused or they don't know what to write or where to start, and that's totally fine. But it's all about understanding that there's no judgment there, that, you know, you're writing and you're getting things out for you rather than anyone else, and that's where the shadow work starts. So astrology is a great place to start, writing is a great place to start, and it's a really good way to take care of yourself. It's something that I like to do regularly, kind of check in with my emotions and also see how I'm feeling. Also understanding, you know, what is going on in terms of transits around us. If you guys are into astrology, then you will probably be quite in the know. You'll be tuning in, checking in on kind of what's going on astrologically. There are some great people to look at for that kind of information. I really recommend this lovely astrologer called Alice Bell. She's fantastic. She now writes for British Vogue and she does the astrology there, so I highly recommend her. I also really recommend my friend Heather. She's got the Alchemy Company and she has her own courses available. So I recently did a course based on my rising sign. So I'm actually a Taurus rising, and that kind of information really helped break down where I sort of came from and who I am today. And when you actually work and do her worksheets, her workbook and journaling, you uncover so much about yourself that you might have never have known. Perhaps you only know what your sun sign is, which is essentially your zodiac. If that's all you know, then sometimes you can read a horoscope and feel like, that doesn't really resonate that much with me. That's because your rising sign is your most accurate to read. So if you know your rising sign, guys, then you should check out that when you're reading the more fun, quirky, horoscopy type things. But as I say, those types of things, be careful where you look and look in the right places. Again, I really recommend Alice Bell's articles for British Vogue. So yeah, I could talk about astrology forever, but it is something that I like to do just kind of to check in, know what I'm up to, and kind of understand why it is I'm feeling certain emotions. A lot can be said about transits, things like retrogrades. I know people joke and laugh about it all the time and they'll kind of blame a retrograde, but sometimes it can kind of give us a bit more of an understanding as to why we might be feeling stuck. If it's a Mercury retrograde, why our technology decides to pack it in and why our flights get cancelled. So there's lots to be said about astrology. So the next really important thing to consider when looking at self-care from a bit of a deeper perspective is to look at healing your own negative beliefs and negative feelings surrounding certain things, certain people, environments that no longer serve you. Guys, this is also an element of shadow work, and it's a great place to start because you will start to unpick where maybe you believe in certain things because of the people you surround yourself with, the environment you're in. If you can work and unpick that, then often you can see where the self-care needs to be nurtured. If it's friendship groups, you know, look to speak to these people and just check in on them, but also check in on yourself. If they're not aligning with you, then perhaps these people aren't kind of on your frequency or where you want to be in the future. So that's a form of self-care, actually taking the initiative and the step in the right direction to understand what it is in your gut that you really want. And sometimes self-care is just walking away. I have mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm gonna say it again because I do think it's so important. Now, sticking to the woo-woo kind of things to do for self-care, guys, I'm a very woo-woo person. I'm just very spiritual. I love my astrology. I love everything around the sort of spiritual realm, but I highly recommend sage. Like, I recommend it to everyone I meet who are going through maybe negative situations or circumstances. If you get sage, it will change your life, I promise you. There's some really great places that you can get it. I think I have recommended before getting on Amazon, but I don't think that's a very ethical way to do it. So if you can source from local healers or people that you know, sourcing sage more ethically, then I would highly recommend doing so. I'm going to do some research, and if I find any, I will link some below that I recommend. But I also really recommend white sage incense sticks. Guys, they smell unreal. If you're a bit nervous about the potency of sage, which a lot of people are, then I'd recommend a white sage incense stick. It does the same thing. It just smells a bit sweeter, a bit nicer. So yeah, I would highly recommend saging. Going around your space, your home, with sage will make you feel so much better and uplift you. I basically love to do this. I do it quite regularly, actually. I do it every Sunday. And I light my sage and I go around my space and I put meditation music on, and honest to God, it feels so good and I feel so relaxed afterwards. It's like a spiritual cleanse, and if people are coming into your space that aren't great energy, then as soon as they go, honey, light that sage, like it's needed. If you can feel that shift in your environment, then that's when you know you need to get the sage out, and it's a form of self-care, so I'm gonna recommend it. So next, in terms of more aesthetic self-care tips, I absolutely love to run myself a nice bath, hop in the bath, kind of scrub all my fake tan off if I've got fake tan, wax some teeth whitening strips and like a face mask. Like I'll do the whole shebang. I absolutely love to have a face mask on and teeth whitening strips. My friends know I'm addicted to teeth whitening strips. I just feel like they make you feel so good and you've got that fresh glowing smile afterwards. So guys, if you want some good recommendations, I will also link those below. I really love my teeth whitening, and it just makes you feel really glowy when you've got then like fresh layers of fake tan on. It just makes you feel so confident and just yourself again. Not that you all need to like whack on fake tan and do your teeth whitening strips. It's just something that I like to do and would recommend if you're feeling like you just want to make yourself feel better. My final tip, if you can, is to take some self-care and actually do a digital detox. If you can take a certain sort of time in the evenings or on a weekend where you just completely remove yourself from checking your phone, then I highly recommend it. It's a great way to just switch off. I've found that now I've got really into reading. I'm no longer checking my phone super late at night, so it's great to just swap out my phone for a book and read something educational, so I highly recommend you do that. So that's all guys for my self-care tips. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, and I will see you all in my next video. I've said video a million times, but yeah, stay sweet everyone.